This video will show you how to use the Line 6 HX effects in a wet-dry amp setup. There are a couple of ways you can use the HX in a wet-dry setup. This is the first method. The second method I'll show in a different video, link in the description. The advantage of this first method is that you don't use one of your 9 effects blocks to handle the splitting of the signal. For any wet-dry setup, you're going to need an isolator to prevent ground loop hum. You should also use a phase inverter to overcome any phase cancellation issues. Here is a conventional output for a single or mono amp setup. So you just plug it in there. If you were having a stereo 2 amp setup, you'd normally plug in here. But for wet dry, using the configuration I'm going to show you, you plug it in here. The send 1 output. There are 2 thoughts on wet dry setups. One is that you send any modulation, chorus, vibrato, etc. to the dry amp. One is that you send it to the wet, but I'm going to show you both methods in this video. Okay, let's start. Select a new preset, doesn't matter which one. Obviously there's loads in the zone 30 here. We'll use 31C. Mode to start editing, and what we're going to do is we're going to set up a drive, a modulation, you're having a mono signal set to the wet and dry amps respectively. So we'll just pick a drive pedal. Let's use the Timmer. Now we're going to have a modulation. We'll just choose just a chorus. Find the first chorus. Now delay. Vintage digital and reverb. Double tap. So that's our basic patch. Drive into chorus, into delay, into reverb. Now, how do we split the signal into wet dry? For that, you press the options button up here and click on signal flow to see your signal flow. Okay, so we want the drive going to the dry amp, the delay and the reverb going to the wet amp, and the modulation, we're going to experiment with both. So firstly what I'm going to do is going to move the reverb and delay to the end of the chain. So using button 1 we're going to move the reverb right to the end. Now using the big knob to select the delay, do the same, so that's right in front. We're going to leave the distortion where it is and move the mod into the middle. Right, so the first thing we need to do is move the reverb and delay to a different path. So button 2, move from path A to path B. So select both of those. And now we have delay and reverb on a separate path. To send them to our wet amp, which is the amp that is connected to the send output on the HX, is we use the big knob until we select that node there which says mixer. So you can see it's selected right at the end, mixer, and if we alter button 2, that will change from main left right to send 1 2. So that is now going the output of the send output. Path A is sending output via regular output 1, so that's going to the dry amp. So the distortion and the mod is going to the dry amp. The distortion, the mod, delay and reverb is going to the wet amp. Okay, so that's one way of setting it up, sending the mod and the drive to both amps and only the delay and the reverb to the wet amp. I personally send the mod to the wet amp as well, so only to the 1 amp. So to do that, you select the chorus using the big knob and change its path. And it's as simple as that.